Here are 5 tips to create a successful podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex. If you haven't been here before, I am one half of the Young's Photo and Film with my wife, Veronica. Podcasting has never been bigger, and if you've ever wanted to start one, now's the time. So here are 5 tips to make sure that your podcast is as good as it can possibly be. Tip number 1, know your niche and your audience. Identifying a specific topic or main theme for your podcast is ultimately going to help you to target the audience that you're trying to reach. Whether it's talking about cars, talking about business in general, or photography, knowing what your niche is vital to getting started. Tip number 2, have a plan. When I say have a plan, I mean both posting schedule, where you're going to post, and what the structure of the episodes are going to be. When it comes to each episode, you want to make sure that you have an outline that has your intro and your main talking points so that it flows seamlessly. The last thing people want to listen to is something that is just all over the place and people ramble. Having this outline is ultimately going to help your podcast flow better and keep the audience engaged. Tip number 3, invest in good quality audio gear. And if you do a video podcast, video gear as well. We recently did a video that touches on this exact topic, so feel free to go watch that on our channel. But in general, the better quality audio that you can get, the more likely you are to continue to get listeners. One thing to note is where you record. Make sure there's not a ton of background noise that can be distracting for your listeners. Tip number 4, be consistent. Make sure you know what your release schedule is going to look like and make sure that it is attainable. If you don't think you can do an episode every single week, do it bi-weekly, do it once a month, but make sure you have that game plan up front so that you can follow it. This will help your audience know when to look forward to an episode and therefore make them anticipate that episode coming out. One thing I'd like to add to this is if you're not recording a podcast that's time sensitive, like a news-based podcast or a sports-based podcast, I recommend recording in batches. That means going in for your recording day and recording multiple episodes of the podcast. This allows you to have a backlog in case life happens, which will inevitably happen at some point in time. You won't miss a week just because you didn't have a chance to record that week. And finally, tip number 5, make sure you engage with your audience. It's important that you have some sort of social media strategy when it comes to having a podcast. This will help you to promote the podcast and to post updates on when podcasts are coming out, or even get ideas for topics that you're going to cover. When you do things like asking for input or questions or advice for your episodes and including those topics in the episodes, it's going to make your audience feel like they're part of the podcast and inevitably make them keep coming back. Remember, building a successful podcast takes time and effort, so make sure that you have a topic that you can stay dedicated to and stay consistent in your uploading schedule. And also make sure that you are constantly trying to improve the quality of your product and always keep your connection with your audience strong. Well, that's all we got for this one. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, like the video, subscribe if you don't, and we will see you next time.